Oh, does it feel good to be back? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the opening round of FPRL Season 8. Season 8. Who'd have thought we'd have got this far, eh? Anyway, welcome everyone tuning in on Twitch. And this is Cruiser 1872 back on a Monday for Tier 3s. And let's hand over to the voice of Monkey Boy Kurt, who I believe now we are at 9 races in a row we've been common partners for.
It's getting something like that, Cruiser, but yes, we are back on the comms once again for this Season 8 opener. Not opener just for Tier 3, but Season 8 in general. Obviously, we've got Tier 1s and 2s to come later in the week, but really hoping for a good start to the new season. We've waited a long time for it. Obviously, with the release of the new game, we haven't had any competitive racing. Well, we've had some socials, but competitive racing for championship positions and points for a good couple of months now, and we're all looking forward to see what all of these drivers have got to offer. Obviously, in new games, as some might be quicker than others, and we've seen a little bit of that in the socials, who we are expecting to be up there amongst the sort of front runners. But let's just get this qualifying session underway, and let's see what they can bring to the table early on.
That we can. And we've got quite a few new faces in the field taking part in the socials as well. We've got Reese, not that one from Tier 1, promise it is a different Reese, it's spelled with an S, so you know it's different. We've got Ethan Hilda, Sheriff Woody, Rob Sue, I believe, making their return to the league. In the Aston Martin, we have Wizard of Oz, who we refer to as Oz for simplicity, JSY, and Novus. The drivers in the field tonight, 16 drivers in all. I've got a couple of people, I believe, serving some bans from the prior season, so you'll see them next time out around Australia, if I'm correct. Anyway, Magic Ram making the first flying lap of the session and first flying lap of the season in FPRL. And recently too, Codemasters decided, you know what, let's put out a new handling model update on a Monday when we are live streaming tonight. So this is a whole different ballgame completely for these drivers. They've not had much practice on a new handling model, but at least from my experience of it, which is like 20 laps around this track in time trial, it feels a lot heavier in terms of cornering, and it's very, very difficult to just get the car rotated. A lot of momentum is required for these corners, and this corner here, turn 9 into the ever tightening turn 10, that's going to be the doozy in qualifying. But Magic Ram fares quite well in the Scuderia Ferrari HP. That does not sound right, but I suppose you can tell it's sponsored by HP because it's plastered everywhere on the car. Anyway, the Ferrari up to the end of Sector 2. Magic Ram setting a 108.0 at the second sector split. And a good evening to Reese and Steele, the early birds in the Twitch chat. Good evening to you, gentlemen. Welcome to the opening night of FPRL. The curtains are drawn, and we are waiting for our cast to get their names in the hat for qualifying. Magic Ram going to put his name in the mix and get himself on a 130.0. Still, it's a time, but we'll find out how good that is in the future. There's David Lawface going for his run. Rob Sue giving a helpful slipstream there to one of the Alpines of the Tattooed Star, going to start his lap. Rainbow sets a 31.7, a good effort that from Rainbow. And Tattooed Star has got to be careful here, because if actually tell a lie, there was a recent problem with the slipstream effect, but it seems like that has gone. But the Tattooed Star is going to be hoping Rob Sue doesn't make too much of a mistake, or he gets the best benefit possible from any slipstream he can get.
Yeah, and as we've just seen a few more drivers coming through, Magic Ram at the moment, the fastest man out there on a 30.0, which I was actually thinking, if I'm being honest, wasn't the best time, but it seems at the moment maybe people, like you say, are getting used to the new handling, as we've seen the update today, but everyone's not currently breaking into the 29s. I would expect it very, very soon, though. We've got, I believe it's Panic N coming around now to finish his lap, and this looks like it's definitely going to be within those 28s. It might even be the 28s. There's a 29.4, and that is a bit more like what we're going to be expecting to see. Panic End, I think, is going to be one of the drivers to watch for the whole season, actually. He has dropped a division from a tier, I think it was tier 2 last season. So, yeah, keep an eye out on Panic End, but obviously a lot more to come from a few others as well. There's a few more drivers coming across the line. We've got Rob Sue as well coming across the line. He goes through with a 30.1, the Tattooed Star a 30.3, and everyone's starting to come through now. Sheriff Woody on his second flying lap with a 29.3, so takes Panic End off that potential pole spot at the moment, but still lots of drivers yet to come across the line and set their laps. Aviation with a 29.4 as well. And there we go, Mr. David Lowface. Get the old tyres warmed up. And yeah, it looks like the second lap is proving to be a bit better for a few of these drivers. 29.0, how about that?
How about that from David Lawface? Shades of old for the Williams driver tonight and his teammate Button. I've had an eye on Button in time trials. Keep an eye for him in this qualifying session, and already a purple sector 1 as we approach the 10-minute mark. In our sole qualifying session, we've got the single 18-minute qualifying session, and Silverside Boy is very excited for David Lawface setting that lap time. And to be fair, that's a respectable effort from David. Still a long way to go though, and a lot of time to be found for some drivers like Locker and especially the Flow. Keep an eye out on them as they are starting their run. JSY, he's had a good run in the social races, just a bit unlucky really, along with Sheriff Woody. Hoping it was just, how do I say it, teething problems getting into the lead. But keep an eye out on Button to set his lap, make it potential a Williams 1-2, albeit still early doors in qualifying. What can David's teammate do? And it's going to be indeed a front row. 4 thousandths ahead of Sheriff Woody. But David Lawface, that time is looking incredibly competitive right now.
No, I have to agree. That is a fantastic time from David. He'll be very happy with that, especially only for a second lap on a first run. He's got time to come in, get another fresh set of tyres on and go out again. We've obviously still got a few drivers come across the line yet. We've got FPRL Locker who's going to come through now and looks like it's pretty quick. That puts him up to P6, breaking into the 29s as well, 29.9. We've also got the Flow coming round with a 107.2, through Sector 2. Now this is looking quite good as well. Obviously Novus as well, on the medium tyre it has to be said, gone up to a 30.0, and that's on the medium, so expect a bit more from him on the soft tyres. Here comes the Flow then. Deployment is all used, so he might lose a bit here. Yeah, I think he probably would have maybe took David off the top spot there if it wasn't for using all his deployment at the end of the lap, but he goes up into P2, splits those two Williams drivers for now, so it's just Reese and Radical we're waiting on, who are now both on their first flying laps.
We'll head over to Reese as he's the closest on track. Radical just heading up to the end of Sector 1, so we'll keep an eye on them also. Ethan Hilda on a 37.7. I have a suspicion that was set on intermediate tyres. We've seen Ethan do this, but as long as he stays respectful, we'll put a little asterisk next to that and just make sure, know what you're doing, Ethan. Just know what you're doing. But we trust him enough. Reese are in the final corner, getting a nice, somewhat slipstream here from, I believe that's Rob Sue, going for another lap in the Aston. It was Robbie, improves to a 29.8, but Reese breaks into the 28s. Have that, David.
Yeah, that is, I don't think, like you say, you got a bit of a slipstream coming down the final corner there, but yeah, brilliant lap from Reese. We're going to see these times now start to drop as obviously the drivers are getting more used to the track. It's what happens in every quali session normally, and it obviously happens in this game as well. If you get a bit more used to the track, and obviously you have that delta as well to have a look at as well. But Radical looks like he's given up on this lap. He's only at about a 1:35. Yep, so he's going to go again now. With 8 minutes left in the session, so this and one more run he will have before the end. Let's ride on board with Radical. I'll go with a lap of him round this Bahrain international circuit, so into turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3. You've got to be very, very careful on the acceleration and the throttle through there. You can easily lose the back end, and we now come up to turn 4. His brakes around 100 metre board as we now come up to the end of Sector 1, and the split time for Radical is a 28.7, which I believe is about... Oh, and he just about holds it there. Got on the curb and he would have lost definitely a few temps. I was about to say that 28.7 was around about the same time that Button did, who's now sitting in P5. So it wasn't a bad first sector. I'm wondering how much of time he's lost there, getting on the curb and almost losing the back end. But as we now come towards the end of Sector 2, we've just gone through the second DRS zone. And as he now comes up to the end of Sector 2, through this really fast right-hander, he's 7 seconds up, 107.7. It's going to put him around about, I would think probably he's going to slot him in between Aviation and Robsy with this time. It all depends what he does through the final corner. He now comes through now, taken quite well. I think it's going to be either low, high 29s. Oh, and I think he might have lost out a bit more on the last bit of the lap, but it's a 30.1. But he look, like I say, he does have the time to come back in and get another fresh set of tyres on.
I think that's the important thing for Radical. He will have one more shot, and definitely knows he can go faster. I think venting some frustration down the start-finish line, letting Magic Tram go through for the final, or their final run potentially. It's just over 6 minutes to go. Ethan Hilda going to set their first flying lap. As we saw Oz go up to 9th, Sheriff Woody now up to 4th. As I was just about to mention, he was in 7th. None of that. Panic N still in 5th, but I see he has either just set that lap or is going to go for another. Reese still leading the way in the McLaren. David in the front row with Locker up in 3rd, so he'll be very happy with that. His teammate Radical down in 13th. I expect Radical to be around mid-table. And last season round here, he fared very well, fighting for a podium towards the end of the race. And I think his podium repertoire is a little bit hollow, but my goodness, Radical, when he puts in a shift, he puts in everything he can, and I think he'll have to do that in this qualifying session as Ethan heads up to 6th. Quite a few drivers in a little spell here. Got JSY in a 29.4, David in a 29.0, 8 drivers covered by 4 tenths. So expect a lot of movement in this midfield as we approach the end of the session, as I see everyone getting ready to go out for another warm-up lap. I wonder if Locker's going to try to do something different. Maybe go for 2 warm-up laps? I mean, it worked for David, so why wouldn't it work for him?
Well, I mean, I have to say, 2 warm-up laps seem to, like you say, work for David. It worked for people also like, I believe the Flow was one of them as well. So I don't see why you wouldn't go for potentially 2 warm-up laps. If you've got the time, why not? As Locker does come out now, I don't think anyone's on a flying lap. There's 4 minutes left of the session. Oh, here comes Button, actually. Oh, and just behind there, slots in behind Reese with 28.8. And Aviation there takes that away. 28.7. Now we've got some times coming in. I think there's, like I say, 4 minutes left to go. So Aviation needs to get a move on. He will have time for another run. Because it's about a 1 minute 30 lap, so yeah, he doesn't want to get round, and he might have one more shot at it. We've now got Ethan coming round, but I think he's going to peel off into the pits and get a fresh set on. We've also then got a Ferrari as well. Magic Ram is on a flying lap, but he's invalidated. So I don't know if he's going to lay off that hot lap or maybe come in for another set. But we should now start to see everyone starting to come out on their out laps. The earliest ones to come out are obviously Locker and David Lowface.
Magic Ram go for one more run, so they've committed. This is going to be their final lap, so they've got to get it right. Rob Sue's up by half a second, but I think for JSY, that might be them done in qualifying unless they really hurry back. You've seen him in the background from Rob Sue. I don't know if he's going to get round again, so it's kind of an open goal here towards David, Locker, Reese and Button. Button, he should be okay to get another lap on the board, but you're going to follow Rob Sue for the remainder of their lap. Got 20% left as we approach the final corner. Need just a little bit ERS for a boost out the final corner. And good evening, Nigel Piddle, with your 5 consecutive streams this month from Spark to Watch streak. Nerd. Is that... Oh, Rob backs off.
Yeah, I think that's because of the deployment. He used all the deployment. He would have lost all that time. So I think he's thought, screw it, I'll come and get a fresh set and go again and try and get even further up. That lap was good enough to put him another 3 tenths ahead. So he would have gone up to around about, well, actually no, because there's a 5-tenth gap between the Flow and Wizard of Oz, so we'd only got up to 10th position there. So I think probably the best outcome there was to come in. Magic Ram is going to have to get in the box here. He will not improve on this lap. I don't believe he will. Might be wrong.
He should be okay.
Well, no, I think it's my time's messing up. No, he's definitely going to improve. Don't listen to me. He is. He's going to go up to P8.
Well, that's him done. So 29.2 is the best he's getting. But I'm noticing here JSY is doing another push lap. So he's actually fueled up for 2 laps. Well, the answer to that is it will not work. He's just went wide at turn 10. So easily done. As, we got a car parked here at turn 4. As Reese has actually started their final lap on basically no batteries. There's a Haas in the apex. I think that was Woody. Caught Reese by surprise, but fair play to Reese for avoiding that. But that's far from ideal for the McLaren driver and for the Mercedes. So now, could Button, David or Locker find any bit of time that they can? We checked Locker's split and he's matching his first sector, but the middle sector is where it's made up. David is ready to go for his final run. Button is on an out lap, he should be okay. So it's going to be Locker who's going to set the lap first out of the top 5. Woody, Panic End, they should make it to the line as well. They are ahead of Button on track. Magic Ram is done. Ethan Hilda will not set another lap time, so they're satisfied with a 29.2. But the Flow is well out of position on a 29.2 as well, down in 10th. Oz, Robsu, Novus we've seen have pace as well, so they've got to get a move on and get that lap on the board, which I think they're going to. Around the final corner, hopefully they weren't backed up too much by Magic Ram, but Novus up to the line, and that's more like it from them. A 29.0 puts them up in a provisional 4th.
Yeah, everyone's now starting to come around, as you said, but only Ethan did not come out of the box for a final run. Here comes FPRL Locker. What's he going to put in here? It's a 29.1. Would he be pleased with that? I think Locker would be hoping to maybe get a bit higher up, but that's all it's going to be for Locker. We've now got some more coming across the line. Button's going to start his last flying lap. Now we've got one of the Aston Martins about to come across the line. That's Robsu going to come across the line. And then Panic End just about going to make it. 4 seconds. So now everyone on their last laps of the session. First of all, we're going to start with Aviation, who has invalidated, so he will not be going any higher or any quicker, but he still holds that pole position as it stands at the moment. Here comes David Lolface, who's currently 34 thousandths down, but can he gain anything out of the final? No, he won't, and he will pull off into the pits. It's P5 at the moment for David. Next to come across the line is going to be the Tattooed Star, who is 6 tenths up at the moment, Cruiser.
I think all things considered though for David, he will be happy with that time. Just pipped to a second row by Novus at the end, but 5th place for David, 6th place for Locker. They're both ahead of the Flow, which I think they will take. What can a Tattooed Star do? It's going to put them up in 12th. They'll be satisfied with that, I'm sure. Got a whole train of cars right now, so it's going to be Sheriff Woody at the head of this Express. Next up behind them is going to be Radical. Try to get any bit of slipstream we can. Woody does not improve. Radical now goes 12th. Next up is a McLaren of Panic End. No, it's not. It's Reese who finds time. It's a 28.5 for the McLaren. Panic End is only up by a 10th. He's got to find a ton of time in that final sector, which
watch
I don't
Button.
see
Button's up by
possible.
3 tenths. This could be Button's pole.
We'll watch. Just Button does it on their return. It's a 28.5. Beats out Reese, and Button takes first blood in qualifying for the Williams team. David, he's got 2 words to sum up his lap, but I think all in all he's satisfied with 5th, and he'll be even more happy for his good mate Button to take the first pole position of the new season.
Well, I think for the first qualifying session of this new season, we can't really complain on what we've just witnessed. Obviously, Button and Reese ahead of the pack by around 2 tenths. Aviation in the end finishes 3rd, or down to about P15, only separated by 8 tenths. So that's over 80% virtually of the grid. separated by 8 tenths. And I think Robsu could have potentially gone even quicker if he didn't mess up his final run. But yeah, Novus there we go. 29. Well, there's a good indicator there. So 29.0 for fourth place, down to 29.8 for Robsu. So extremely close there between. Like I say, 4th to 15th. Even if we look at 4th to 14th, 4 tenths between 10 drivers. I think we're going to be in for a really good race here. It's going to be interesting to see if the likes of Button and Reese can pull away from a lot behind them, but I don't think it's going to be that easy, Cruiser.
Absolutely not. And I'm looking at sector times as well. Button made that time up in the middle sector. If I'm correct, that was a 3/10 difference in favour of Reese in the final sector alone. So Button did the work in the middle sector. Just shows you have to be there. You've got to get it right when it counts, and Button done just enough. I see Steele's very happy with the results of the Williams team, and I'm going to get a quick drink, so I'll be back in just a few moments.
Yeah, no worries, mate. So we'll let Cruiser go off, get what he needs to get. But I think if you're Wizard of Oz, Tattooed Star, Radical down in P, sort of 12, 13, 14, you've just set a lap that's only 7 tenths off pole, and you're sitting down in those positions. So that just shows how close this grid is on early lookings of tonight. So we'll be looking to see who can perform well around Bahrain. And then we'll go back to our pre-season races, just give you a bit of indication as to how people have done. And we've seen quite a few drivers really performing well in those pre-seasons. We've obviously seen Button with some good pace, got a bit unlucky in the pre-season races and couldn't really get up to probably what his potential positions could have been. But he's obviously sitting in P1 at the moment, so we'll be hoping for a better race today. We've seen Reese up there. We've seen Novus up there for the win in Zandvoort. We saw the Flow up there, Sheriff Woody. In fact, virtually everyone here has got the potential to be up there if the opportunity comes for them. We've got Ethan was up there in Zandvoort. The pace was up there. Panic End as well. And the Flow, we obviously know, has been very, very, very quick in previous seasons. He's been a title contender before. He started P7. Don't write him off. But if there's anything, David Oldface starting in P5 will be delighted with that quali. It's been a bit more used to be starting down around 10th or below in recent seasons, but up in P5, he'll be hoping to see that he can have a really good race and potentially even push for those podium spots. But as we will wait, we'll get to see what kind of strategies people are on. If they're starting on new, different tyres, I think potentially we could have people on all 3 sets here come the start of the race.
The tyre strategy will play the big role in the race. That is an absolute given. But I have seen some people have been teasing a potential 2-stop race here tonight. You can make the 1-stop work, but it's a lot of tyre management. And do you suffer with the hards for that length of time? So
the hards definitely go 20 laps. Definitely, you can hold them out for that long, but like you say, it depends.
In a 27-lap race, it's still going to be nip and tuck towards the end, and do you suffer with the hards for that length of time? I get the feeling we might see some people switch it up. I'm actually curious, will people start in the hard tyres? I think we're about to find our answer as we get underway for the formation lap. Button leading them away. And I had a few accusations in the Twitch chat that he is sandbagging. And I can encourage you, he is not. And Radical starting on the hards. But there's a lot of medium tyre runners. I see Button and Reese are starting in the mediums, but JSY and Novus are starting on the softs. So that seems to me that they're committing to a 2-stop race. But everyone from 11th downwards, bar Radicals, also on the softs. So they're going to try and make moves quickly through the field. But a lot of people on the mediums. This is going to be a very tactical race.
I think Radical there, to be honest. He's been the person to go on hard tyres, but the thing with Radical is he's going to want there to be no safety cars, because if there is a safety car within the first 5, 6, 7, 8 laps, there will be people that will probably switch from their mediums or their softs. That's even if the softs go 7-8 laps. I'm not sure if they will, but they will swap to hards and probably go towards the end of the race. That's if they know if that strategy works, obviously. They might not know that. The only reason I know that the hards go that long is for a pre-season race at Bahrain, where we had people on the mediums and then having to stop again, and it paid off to do the hard strategy. But safety cars are obviously going to make that decision, you know, if you do it or not. But I think Radical here, if there's no early safety cars, could be in definitely for a fast finish for the race, but could definitely make up some positions.
Oh, hopefully that's just my connection there, because it looks as though Reese was straight lining it into the final corner. Hopefully that's not the case. Roundsy saying that 28 laps on the hards is the strategy. I don't know if I can back that one, but I will consider it for my race on Wednesday, along with you, Monkey Boy Kurt. As we'll see each other on track this Wednesday for the tier 2 race, and this Friday for the tier 1 race, saving the best for last in our weeks of racing in FPRL. But we now wait for the 5 lights to cue the drivers and get us underway for the opening night and the opening fight in this Season 8 Tier 3 Championship. We have 5 lights, we wait, and we are foot to the floor, and we are racing once more in FPRL. Button and Reese GSY having the perfect start. They're getting ahead of one of the McLarens. Reese having a nightmare in towards turn 1. Novus from 4th place challenging for the lead. Not going to make the move stick as there's a Haas going slowly around turn 1. Looks like Sheriff Woody getting bogged down in the pack.
Collision.
As Jay's lost out. Jay's lost out there. I think with Novus, both of them have been tagged, and Jay's out of the race, and that's an early virtual safety car. Oh, Jay. Looks like the gremlins from pre-season have turned up tonight in Bahrain. That is far from ideal for him and for Novus. But that now means that Reese, having that nightmare start, has kind of got away with one there. David now up in 3rd, but the flow up to 4th. That is probably the best start you could have wished for, as we actually look at the positions gain graphic. Up 3 places for the flow. Oz and Robsu up 6, and obviously no big surprises there. Novus down 9 places, Locker having a poor start down 8, and JSY arguably the biggest loser because he's now out of the race. But Button has a gap he needs at 1.1 seconds, and Reese having the DRS break at 1.6 seconds to David Lawface, because when that's activated at the end of this lap 2 of the race, keep an eye out on the flow and Sheriff Woody, David. That's all I'm going to say to you.
Yeah, a very unlucky start for Aviation. I had a front row seat of it as we saw Novus get a blistering launch off the line. Those soft tyres really helping him get up from 4th, and he went for a little move on Button, which was a bit unsuccessful to try and get the lead, and then let Aviation just come back past a little bit, and it was a case of tyres just hitting each other, and he had no control. Aviation went straight into the barrier, and Novus almost stopped him turning. That was the case with the tyres hitting each other, but he now dropped down to P11, P12, and he's now fighting with Radical. When he makes that position up, Magic Ram is also off at the back, and he will drop down to 13th, and here comes Rainbow to overtake him as well. But yeah, Button, 8 tenths is the gap, so Reese will have DRS here. It's going to be interesting if these two have a good fight. David Lowface up in 3rd. He's got the flow, Sheriff Woody, Panic End, and Ethan all behind him. There's a big train of cars up to the Wizard of Oz, and then you've got a bit of a gap there to Novus, Tattooed Star, Locker, Radical, Rain, and Magic Ram. Pitted onto the hard tyres, so he's obviously had some damage, and you see Reese has made that gap go down now to 7 tenths of a second. Just needs to keep inside it, and he'll have all that advantage down the main straight and in towards turn 3 to try and have another go at Button. At the moment, these two have got a 2-second advantage to P3 man David Lowface.
Looks like David's going to try and back up the pack around and the flow. Sheriff Woody, Panic End down the inside at the final corner on the Sheriff. Caught him out napping there, and I think first blood, let alone first draw there, goes to Panic End. But Sheriff Woody going to go for a drag race now with the McLaren, and never mind, Ethan Hilda's joined the mix with 3 wide towards turn 1, and Ethan's going to get the pair of them in towards turn 1. Panic ending, making the overtake, has now lost 2 places. Ethan now 5th, Woody in 6th, Panic End now 7th. And Ethan starting in the softs as well, doing what unfortunately Novus couldn't do, because we think we can just see him there in the background rise over the crest. And there goes his teammate in towards turn 4, ahead of both Haas's and the McLaren. But David losing out now to the Flow, and 2.5 seconds now between the Flow and Reese, as there's Ethan doing a little bit wider in turn 6. But Button and Reese going to have their own little fight, and hopefully now this mid-pack can try and just keep the fight into a minimal and try their best to slingshot each other back up towards that lead group. Just 2.5 seconds around this track is not easy to make up in the slightest. I mean, I say that, Novus is 4 seconds behind Oz, so good luck, Novus.
Yeah, Novus trying to make some form of comeback from obviously the collision he had on the first lap. He's 4 seconds off the Wizard of Oz, so he's got to get his foot down. Also going to go up to Reese, who's now 6 tenths behind, but quickly I'm just going to mention that Ethan, I've just noticed, is missing an M plate, so I'm wondering, he's on those soft tyres now, how much of the tyre deck is going to be affected, obviously, because he's got to turn in the extra hard if he's got less downforce. I'm thinking they won't last very long at all, those soft tyres. He might have to come in very soon for some other ones, but Sheriff Woody staying with him in DRS for now. Let's go back up to the front with Reese and Button. And Reese does have the DRS. He's not trying to use as much overtake as he probably can. He's still on 86%, and Button is on 51, so he's got that battery advantage. But he knows that this race is far from over yet. We're only 4 laps into a 29-lap race. He doesn't need to overtake Button straight away, and he doesn't need to waste his battery if he doesn't need to use it to get past him. He can just wait until there's a lap where he's only around sort of 2-3 tenths behind, and then probably thinks that that's the best time to try and slingshot his way past. At the moment, he's sitting very comfortably behind him. The Flow now 3.1 seconds behind these front two. These front two just looking like they're just starting to pull away from the rest of the pack. Yeah, interesting to see that the soft tyres aren't really now doing any favours for Ethan or Wizard of Oz. They're sort of peeling off now, the same as the medium ones.
Yeah, Ethan's starting to suffer a little bit. Oh, he suffered a lot there. Getting a massive snap out of turn 14. Just keeps out the barrier, and I think that's a signal there to Ethan. Your tyres are dead, please change them for the Sauber. Both of them coming to blows in the opening 5 laps as we have a move for the lead. We just see it up ahead. Reese has made the jump on Button. However, the detection pointing for Button is Sheriff Woody gets ahead of David, and Ethan Hilda has took those warning signs from his tyres and is in the pits. Lap 5, which is a very early pit stop in this race, but Button going to use that DRS to gain on Reese and not make the move. But Reese drained a lot of that battery there to make that overtake. Last lap he was on around 90%, now he's half that down to 45.
Yeah, I don't think really Reese needed to use that battery there. I mean, Button, to be fair, has used the same amount of battery to try and get past, but Reese is now on no battery at all. He's using this time now to gain it all back, and to be fair to him, I would have thought that Button would have caught up a lot more with him on no battery, but he's now managed to get that battery back up into the 70s, 60s mark, and using it down the straight now to counteract Button's DRS. Lap 5 it is, and Reese now has the lead, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Button can do. It's now 7 tenths of the gap. Will Reese even try now and pull that gap with a bit more battery to get out of the second? And I think that he already has. He is now a second ahead, and this is an opportunity for him now to pull away. And yeah, Button's actually losing out time here. I don't know if he's made a little mistake there. The Flow is now 2.6 behind. That was 3.1 at the start of the lap, so he's definitely caught up here.
I'm wondering here, because Reese is actually not using any battery in deployment. He's just harvesting it and then just deploying it all in bulk. That might be why he's built this gap up towards Button, who is now starting to use the same idea as Reese. Is it a little bit too late though? I think it might be. Meanwhile, David and Oz continuing their fight. around the opening corner as we see them rise over the crest, and there's Panic End getting involved. He had a front row seat to the excursions with Ethan, and now he's going to look down the inside of David Lawface in towards turn 4. He's already have David the elbows. David's not having any of it, holds it around the outside, but Panic End is still there. Who's going to yield first? It's going to be Panic End in towards turn 5. David holds on, but now it's a Haas 4 and 5. David now down in 6th, and his resilience is being tested as David, but he is not backing down easy and or without a fight. But now both the Haas's now are right behind the Flow, who has caught up massively to Button, and Reese, as in accurate terms, bolted. He was behind Button 2 laps ago, now he's nearly 3 seconds ahead of his pack.
Yeah, Button is really starting to... do you know what? I don't even really think it's so much that Reese has pulled away. I think Button's really had a bad couple of laps as the Flow's really caught him up now to 1.5 seconds. And I don't know if it's him trying to save his battery. It doesn't look like it because he's only on 41%. But the Flow looks like he just, like I say, caught him up by around a couple of seconds on these last couple of laps. And that couple of seconds, Reese has, I don't know whether a couple of mistakes have been made. We've got the two Hasses now having a go at each other. Wizard of Oz going to overtake his teammate Sheriff Woody, who is on the softer tyre for now. Whether it's the better tyre, I'm not too sure. But for now, those Hasses do a little swap, and I'm wondering, is Sheriff Woody going to come back through here in the other DRS zone? Don't think he's quite the speed on this occasion to get back through. Panic End is now through past David Lowface. He's up in the 6th position.
Doing what he has to do, but he's now lost out a DRS to the Hasses. Flow's now 1.2 behind Button, 1.5. He made a mistake there. Going around turn 7, is now in towards turn 9 and turn 10. Devious little corner this, it really is. Just tightens all the time and you just don't know when to pick your braking point unless you use racing line, which I do. And even at that, it still lies to you. Nothing really happening now. The top 8 starting to get, well, top 7 starting to get spread out. Locker and Radical going to try and tow each other along for 8th and 9th. Magic Ram and Rainbow up in 11th. Fair play to Rainbow, he's keeping himself in the hunt for a point, as Novus and Ethan are going to try and bring each other along. Pardon me. Bring them along towards trying to get back in that midfield. Robsu and the Tattoo Star, 12th place downwards, have made a pit stop. We've had one casualty in this race so far. JSY on the opening lap, getting into a tangle with Novus, both of them having a respectable qualifying and a nightmare start to their campaign. We're on lap 8 now in Bahrain. Reese leading by 2.5 seconds over Button. The Flow now is within DRS range of the Williams, as now the Hasses are starting to get in a little bit of a tussle here. That's allowing Panic End to catch up just a little bit. So we've got another switch on for the Red Bull drivers. Radical now getting ahead of Locker. We see him in the background, just about. Radical ahead of his teammate up down to 8th place. But now another mind as well. When do you make your pit stop? We'll have a look at the tyres again. Not many soft runners except from Oz in 4th on the softs. Everyone else in the top 8 are on mediums. So when will Oz pull the trigger? Because the undercut around here will help, but he's got to be mindful of that. It doesn't get into a fight with the Salvers down in 12th and 13th when he does make his pit stop.
I can see just behind in 8th and 9th that the two Red Bulls are trying to help each other out. I don't really know whether they are helping each other out because they seem to be spinning and losing the back end a lot. It's causing each of them to slow up to avoid actually hitting each other. Radical is currently using no battery as well, which I'm a bit surprised at. He's at 100%, so I don't know whether he knows that's actually turned off. But he's really not. He's really losing out here on the cars in front. He's 20 seconds behind, which is about a full pit stop off the leader. As we see the Flow now overtake Button, because Button is already into the box this early. Now, is this going to be an undercut potentially to try and get the lead back off Reese? I'm assuming we're going to see a hard tyres here, and we are. Don't know if we've lost Cruiser or not. I can't hear him.
Day one, Bobs. I was on mute. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I completely forgot. Yeah. Williams double stacked, worked nicely. Rainbow having a go at Button, didn't work. And now Button in clear track in 8th, David clear track in 10th. And I think right now if you're Oz or Woody, this is going to be your pit stop window, and even maybe Reese to just cover off Button. He's got 4 seconds between himself and the Ferrari, does Button. It's going to be an ideal pit window here for Reese and for the flow, but Rainbow could cause a few problems here.
Here comes Reese.
Yep, they're all in. Everyone except from Woody and Panic End. Then again, Woody did have to stay out because the Haas's were basically nose to tail. But Sheriff Woody leads the race for the first time in FPRL. As we'll have a look, the flow's on the hards. Reese is pitted for mediums. Is that the 2-stop strategy from the McLaren?
I don't know if I would agree with that. I think the hards is the best way to go. He's going to now want a safety car, in my opinion, unless he can pull that amount of time. But I don't know. I don't think he'll be able to, really. I would have thought here that he's now going to have to put at least a good 10 seconds, at least, on someone like Button, or the Flow for that matter, as the Flow is now overtaken Button in the pit stops. So, yeah, I've surely got to get a good 10 seconds here to make this strategy work, and then obviously be on the softer tyres at the end, and then gain another 10 seconds to then catch up. So obviously those hard runners, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He's definitely going to have to get a move on here. And I've noticed as well that he never seems to go off no battery. He's either using overtake or he's using no battery at all. It's a very different way of doing the battery around the circuit. Most people use medium and then use overtake in sort of small doses when they need to, but he seems to really just have it on none and then really use overtake down the straight, which is a bit interesting to see.
Now do your homework, gentlemen. As I've noticed as well, Oz is pitted for another set of softs, so that's all but confirmed a 2-stop for the Haas driver. Obviously not chancing it with the hard tyres around here, unlike Button and the Flow. But Woody has made his pit stop. I think he's going to lose out here to his teammate, and he is that extra lap. He's going to put him out behind Woody. He's now down in 8th place. Is actually put him out, Woody, in 8th place behind his teammate Oz. They've got a yellow flag at the back. I think that's Ethan, who's gone at the final corner. He's got on the curb and has not survived that excursion with the wall. He's into the pits with a damaged front wing again. This race has been a nightmare for both him and for his teammate. Oh, Button's gone! Button's had a collision with someone. Now, it might have been Oz. As I'm seeing there, the front wing is damaged in the Haas. So both of them have had a collision. That's completely ruined Button's race.
Yeah, not ideal for Button. So this now looks like it's up to 2 drivers potentially, and that's going to be Reese and the Flow as of right now, as we've got Radical now, who is really holding up Reese. Reese will try and make light work of this, as obviously Radical's on the 10-lap-old hard tyres. Will we see Panic End as well peel off into the pits after 11 laps? The answer is no. Panic End's going to go again. And, well, I mean, is this going to be a shorter stint on the hards? I'm not sure.
Radical done a sneaky there. He's going to get a DRS. Is he? No, I don't think he is. He's just timed it wrong. Just not enough for Radical. He tried it. I respect it. He tried it, trying to make up some time. But he should... he's not made it a DRS at the end of the straight. Oh, goodness, that is not worked at all for the Red Bull. Anyway, meanwhile, Woody having a go at Magic Ram in towards turn 1. And easy as you like. 10-lap fresher tyres for the Haas against Magic Ram, who hasn't pitted and has got the first penalty of the evening. So Woody now up in 5th, and could also be on for the result if Reese doesn't make this 2-stop work. And keep an eye out in Panic End and Radical for that matter. Radical's anything but out of this race.
Yeah, Radical will be hoping for something like a safety car here, so he can just come into the pits. I mean, I say that. I mean, It's 12 laps. He ain't the medium, so yeah, Radical's in a bit of a difficult position here. He's 12 seconds off the lead, and he might. Yeah, I don't really know for Radical here. It's a bit of a. I think he would have hoped to be a bit higher up on those hard tyres before the first lot of pit stops in terms of his position before everyone took their pit stops. And he was quite a way behind, obviously, with his teammate Locker, who's come into the box, and now it's P14, which is not really ideal for him. Reese now 9 seconds off the lead, and if we look at the gap between him and the flow, it's around about 8 seconds, so he's pulled that gap, and he's going even quicker now. 1:31.4 is the fastest lap that he's now set. And give you a bit of comparison, that fastest lap is quicker than anyone else by over a second. And the closest one is Sheriff Woody on a 32.4. That was a 31.4 from Reese, so he's definitely trying to get his foot down now.
Seen there, David has to make that move on Wizard of Oz. He's done that in towards turn 1, but Oz will fight this back in towards turn 4, albeit with a damaged front wing. He's not wanting David to run away from him and try and pick off what he can, but David wise to it, using all that experience, defending to the inside, forces Oz out wide, and with a damaged front wing, David has got the better grip and is now up into 7th place. Oz though will have to pit again. David can get to the end. But if you're looking at like Magic Ram, Radical and Panic-End, as we said earlier, they're the 3 drivers, and even Rob Sue for that matter as well, they're begging for a safety car at this time. It'd be perfect for them to try and get back in this race, or even get into this race, if you're Panic-End or Radical. We'll keep an eye on that gap though between Reese and the flow. Currently 8.2 seconds as David now making a double overtake in towards turn 10 against Magic Ram, and he's done the double on the Haas and the Ferrari as Oz follows him through. So David now up to 6th. He's got a 5-second gap now. Oh, David, that might have been my connection, and thankfully it was. Looked as though he's got a bit twitchy there towards the exit of turn 11, but Panic-End has made his pit stop, so he's not waiting any longer. And this is another set of mediums. That's interesting. So obviously he's not trusting the hard tyres. But is it worth the sacrifice for a 2-stop race?
I don't think Panic-End is needing a safety car now to have anything in this race. He comes out on fresh mediums, so he should easily get past this pack in front of him that are fighting like anything for position. We've got 13 lap-old mediums, we've got 8 lap-old mediums, 5 lap-old hards, so he should definitely... look at this, he's literally going through the middle of Novus and Magic Ram. He made light work of that, back up into P7. But he can't gain that amount of time. And I think, Novus has gained. I don't think that was the case there, to be honest. I'm not sure.
I think that was on Magic Ram.
I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really see it, but he's been given a 10-second penalty for gaining a play for corner cutting, which didn't look like it to me, but I'll have to have another look at that potentially after the stream is over. But yeah, Panic-End, he's going to have to pit again because he's obviously gone medium. He has to use 2 bits of compounds, and yeah, he's going to need a safety car now to get anything from this race. Even if he pulls a good 10 seconds on this light in front of him, he's going to drop right back down again. So he's definitely going to have some form of crash to happen amongst the pack for a safety car to come out, and then he can get onto a set of softs or hards depending when that safety car potentially comes. But as we look back, 6.6 ahead of Radical, 7.8 ahead of the flow. We know that he's got to pit again. If he was to pit right now, he would come out around where Button is in P9. So he's still got more to do here. I'm thinking he's going to try and get to about lap 22 and then go on a set of softs for maybe the last 6-7 laps.
Panic-End sends it up the inside of Oz. David getting the overtake back on the Haas, and now Panic-End follows him through. So David now 5th, Panic 6th, Oz 7th. And again, Reese, I don't know where he goes from here in all honesty, because he's looking at that gap to the flow. That is nearly a 9-second gap to the flow. Pitting loses you around 23 seconds in this track. So he's going to make up 14 seconds if he were to pit now, which is not happening because he's right now committed to soft tyres, as is Panikin getting ahead of David now up to 5th. But you're saying as well, it'll get him ahead, it'll get him roughly where Button is. I don't know. Both McLarens are in a similar position as we start lap 16. Reese 8 seconds ahead of Radical, who's now got the flow in their DRS, and Radical, I think he knows it's not his race. I move over to the right and allow the flow to take the preferred line in towards turn 1. Radical knowing where his fights lie, and it's not with the flow. So that's easy as you like for the Mercedes. He's up now into 2nd, and I think Radical is actually going to try and fight this as long as he can in towards turn 4. Give him a little bit of racing, and Radical knows it's not worth the fight. So the flow now confirmed for 2nd, Radical now 3rd, and Sheriff Woody now up in what is currently a net 3rd, because Radical has yet to make his pit stop. As I'm going to get rid of this account, because we don't trust these links in our Twitch chat. We don't need viewerships, thank you very much, bots.
Yeah, so Reese now 8.5 seconds. He's still increasing that gap to the flow. But this is around about the time now where the hard tyres are going to be starting to get better than the mediums. If anyone knows what the tyre digger's like with these tyres around here, you've got the softs and mediums, which go about maybe quite well, maybe 6 laps and maybe 8, 9 laps in terms of good performance. And then you've got the hards, which go around 20 laps. There's a massive difference in where these tyres go. So Reese, I feel, is going to have to do a lot here to try and further increase the gap that he's got to the flow. And the other thing is, it's going to come out, like we said, around about where Novus Button is, or where they are. And he's going to have, oh, and the flow spun round at the final corner. And that is not what we wanted to see in terms of a fight for the win. Maybe that's now given Reese potentially an even better advantage of potentially winning this race. But now it comes down to people like Sheriff Woody, who is on the hard tyres 9 seconds behind, who now gets a dose of DRS from Radical. And he's now into the 8-second mark, but the flow will be kicking himself about that. He now drops behind David Lolface, is off the lead. So if Reese is to pit soon, that's where he's going to come out around.
It's been a very competitive patch though, as Novus returns the compliments to Button. He's now back up into 7th. But the flow is anything but over for the Mercedes driver. We know what he can do. David now actually is in potential range for a podium, but it's now down to if Reese can stretch this gap to Sheriff Woody. As it stands, we're going to have a debut winner in FPRL, but who will it be? Reese holds the lead by nearly 10 seconds to the Haas, but he's got to pit again. He's ran 2 sets of medium tyres in this race. Woody is on the 1 stop, running the hards to the end. Radical's yet to make his pit stop in 3rd, but I'd imagine he's going to pit in the next 5 laps. Paniken committed to a 2 stop as well in 4th. We've got a lot of different strategies in this field, but if there is to be a late safety car, all the strategies are completely out the window. It's going to be either another set of mediums, which Reese and Panic End will not have, as there's a spin at the back. Ethan compounds their misery for the evening, as the Sauber is routed to the bottom of the field. But another thing as well, I'm actually keeping an eye out. Rainbow's actually up in the points. He does have to pit again, but it is a good confidence booster for the Alpine driver, as Rob Sue's in the pits to make their 2nd pit stop. You're not going to get to the end from a lap 1 pit stop, but see where they end up. For the Aston driver, they should be out ahead of Oz or Magic Ram. They should be out ahead of Magic Ram for that matter. But that gap between Reese and Woody, 9 seconds. So Woody is starting to close that gap up just a little bit. So anything but over. We have 12 laps left, and who's going to take first blood in this Tier 3 championship?
Yeah, the thing is for Reese, it's almost a question of when do you pit? When do you get on those soft parts? When is it going to be the best time to come on and get the best out of them? You don't want to come in too early, because I have 2 things going through his mind. He'll think, well, 1, I want to come in earlier, and I want to get on some softer tyres earlier, so I've got more chance and more laps to get back through the field. At the same time, I'll also go, I want to come in later, because I want those soft tyres to be a better performance for less laps at the end. So it really is a question here. When does Reese pit? He's got 10 laps to go. It's definitely going to be a set of a set of soft tyres. As we see Ethan now lapped as he now comes out of the pits on a set of mediums. And I'm wondering, I really don't hope that he holds up Sheriff here, as Sheriff Woody is right behind the Kick Sauber. And Ethan might feel that he's on fresh mediums. He can pull away. No, he does the right thing and gets out of the way of Sheriff Woody. And we can definitely see that time is now coming down. It's now 8.1 seconds, and that might be a wake-up call for Reese. Sheriff Woody's now catching me. Is this the time now to come in and get on those soft tyres?
I think that's all the warning you need. Woody now in second again, but Radical still holding on to the back of him, and he might get a DRS here from Ethan, who has been lapped. Rainbow back in the pits. That's going to be for a set of mediums, I'm sure, for the Alpine driver. Oh no, it's a set of hards. So all but confirmed to get to the end for Rainbow. And that's about all to report. We've got a few fights for 9th currently. We've got Oz and Rob Sue right behind Locker, but that's for 9th. Not to disregard that. But yeah, nothing else really to report on. Everyone else is spread out. Button's right behind the flow now. He's within the DRS window. But keep an eye out here on Reese. Will he make this pit stop this lap? I think 10 laps on softs is a little bit too much, and he's going to go again. Right, I do think though by lap 22 he will have that pit stop.
Yeah, definitely will have to, because he won't have enough laps to get back through the field to get back at Sheriff Woody. But it's interesting here that Radical is now into the box. This is going to be soft tyres or medium. It's going to be medium tyres for Radical, and he's going to come out just behind Novus. I'll say just behind, in between Novus and his teammate FPRL Locker, and he's now got fresh mediums to the end. So let's see what Radical can do. Can he get back up to the likes of Novus, Button and the Flow, who are currently 5th, 6th and 7th? It would be great to see that, because he's the only person that's done this strategy in the whole field, gone from hards to mediums on a one-stop strategy. We look back to the front again, and Reese now 7.9, so he definitely is now losing time. Like, it is really a question that when do you pit? He knows he's got to go on the soft tyre. He knows that he can't go on the mediums, and he definitely won't want to go on the hards for 9 laps, as he'll gain nowhere near amount of time that he needs to get back through the field. I mean, to tell you, Cruz, there's one thing that will definitely spice this up now is a safety car. However, that will leave Reese in the lead of the race, and I'm kind of hoping that he goes behind in the pack to then see if he can come back through and get back.
We'll find out in a few laps' time. I'm just looking for his pack. Can Panic End actually catch up to Sheriff Woody? For that matter, his Flo's made another mistake, and that's an invite for Button to go through. And now Button up to 5th. So, yeah, nothing else to say for the moment, but Panic End could pull a surprise in this race. He got 5 seconds between himself and Sheriff Woody as the Flow's pitting again, and so is Novus. So we are seeing the 2 stops for some of these drivers as the Flow goes to a set of softs. And I think that's explainable, to be honest, because the hards just were not working for the Mercedes driver. But Novus, he's got to serve that penalty from earlier. Completely forgot he got a 10-second penalty from earlier on. That's now going to drop him behind Magicram, and it's going to be a set of hards. This race has been terrible for the Salvers.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he knew that he had to serve that, so he was going to serve it one way or another. So I guess you might as well serve it out on track. And that's what he's done. He comes out in P12 on fresh tyres. He should hopefully try and get back up to the likes of Rob Sue and Wizard of Oz. Try and fight for some of those low-end points. But the gap now is 6.9 seconds between Reese and Sheriff Woody, and I'm thinking now he's got now to come in. Otherwise, he's not going to have enough time to get back through the field. I think this lap's going to have to be the one, and it is. Here he comes from the lead. Reese is going to come onto the soft tyre for the last 8 laps of this race, and he's going to come out behind Button and in between, ahead of Radical, behind Button. And it's literally going to be a case of, can he make his way. Oh,
Oh,
panicking!
panic!
That's
Oh, that's that
literally
race done.
not what he wanted. Not what he wanted at all. And
And
he's going
that's
to go on hards as well. Sorry, softs as well. But he will have to serve his 10 seconds after the race.
that's an open door for Radical to get another place. So let's have a look at this leader graphic. What is the gap? 16 seconds between Sheriff Woody and Reese. This is going to be close. But from now on, Reese is going to have to be qualifying laps for the McLaren driver. He's got 8 laps left to try and do what we probably think is impossible, to be honest.
I mean, it's definitely going to be close. 14 seconds. He's got 7 laps, 8 laps to him. He's got to gain 2 seconds a lap. And that's got to be a constant 2 seconds a lap. Because obviously, you know, the tyres are going to lose their performance after even 3 or 4. So that's got to be a constant 2 seconds for 7, 8 laps. It's going to be very, very tight. I think Sheriff Woody just needs to get his head down and just go to the end. But the man that's definitely going to be thinking that he's had a fantastic race here, no matter what happens, is David Loleface, who currently sits in P2. Even if Reese catches him, it potentially is going to be a podium for David, which is a fantastic start to the season, provided there's no shenanigans in the last 6 laps for him. But Reese now down to 12 seconds, and he's really catching quickly, but he's using that overtake a bit too much sometimes. And just there, we've just seen down the straight, he had literally no battery, and he was down to about 2%, so he definitely would have lost out a lot of straight line speed in that situation. But now he comes up to the back of Button, and I think Button just knows that he's not going to be able to fight this one, and he lets him go.
One dispatch for the McLaren, so 2 more to go. And that is going to be podium's got yellow flag ahead, Ethan. Chalk this one up for the forget box for the Sauber team. It's hardly been one to remember. I think that's just about been confirmed. But Reese is now, in the space of a lap, he's made up 3 seconds. And he will have DRS from, no other way of putting it, a powerless David Lawface to try and hold off the McLaren. And David knows what's better for him. It's going to be 3rd place for the Williams. And it's now game on between Reese and Woody. Can the McLaren catch the Haas? Crossing the line, we'll have 6 laps left, and that gap will be around 10 seconds.
Yeah, that flag is out. Oh, it's just Ethan getting out of the way. I thought there would have been a crash there. That is something that would really spice this up now if there was a safety car. But we've only got now 5 laps to go as Ethan into the box again. And surely is that going to be him to retire, or is he going to hold it out for the last 5 laps? And now he is going to retire now in the box. Only 2 retirements this race, it has to be said. So it's been very good from these tier 3s on the first race of the season. But now Reese will look back at that leader gap, and he's just got under 10 seconds now. 10 seconds in 5 laps, yet it's got to be 2 seconds a lap again. And I'm afraid I just can't see the performance of those tyres getting him 2 seconds a lap for the rest of this race. I think Sheriff Woody just needs to keep his head down here, make no mistakes about anything, and potentially he's going to have this race win. But Reese is going to have to give it everything here to try and get towards the back of him come the end of this race. It just depends on how long these soft tyres last. And I just think by lap 26, 7:28, they're just not going to have the performance as what they did when he first came into the box.
Never say never, though. That's all I'm going to say. Never say never for the McLaren driver. Meanwhile, I think the Williams team will be very satisfied with this. Button did have that earlier collision with one of the Haas's, and I think it was Wizard of Oz. I was going to say, was it Sheriff Woody there, but no, it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was with Oz. Button having that spin. Recovering though to 4th. David, very welcome with a podium, I am sure. Radical up in 5th, making the alternate strategy work from down in 12th, going long and making it stick, while everyone else committed to a 2-stop race. It hasn't quite worked out for them. Lockhard's going to get a couple of points down in 10th. Oz does have that penalty post-race for corner cutting or track limits. So he'll be 10th as it stands, ahead of Magic Ram. Novus, Sauber have just had a pretty poor race. Both of them collectively, it just hasn't been one to remember, but they'll fight back in Australia in a week's time. I think we'll just chalk this up to a late update and a change in the handling model for the Sauber team. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at this fight here between Panic End and Radical. This is for 5th place, but ultimately in the end, Radical I think will gain this place due to Panic End having that penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So actually have a look at the penalties for that matter. Not had much in this race, just the 2 track limit violations for Oz and Magic Ram, and Panic End, as I said, having that 10-second penalty, which as it stands is actually going to drop him behind the flow. So Panic End is going to end up in 7th. And that gap now at the front, 6.6 seconds. Reese is definitely giving it all he has. As I just want to go onto this camera here with Sheriff Woody. Will it allow for us to look behind the Haas in towards turn 1? It will. As you see him crossing the line, we've got 5 laps left in Bahrain. There is Reese. That gap is going to be 6 seconds and 5 laps left. Reese is... This is going to be so close. Can Woody hold on?
I'll tell you what would definitely also throw something in the mix here. It would be a 3-second time penalty for one of them. That would really cause havoc for either driver. It's 4 racing laps left. It's 6 seconds. This is going to be extremely tight. We're in for a really good end to this race if Reese keeps gaining at the speed that he is. Sheriff Woody isn't being... He's not overreacting at the amount that he's been gained by. He's still keeping a good 60% of battery. But Reese is still using that method which he's been using the whole race of using none, charging it up and then using overtake. And it seems to be working in this late stage. 5.2 seconds now. And he really is piling on the pressure. This could be a last lap overtake potentially for the win. As we see other drivers down the back pack, we've got the Wizard of Oz and FPRL Locker. Locker will overtake him anyway on penalties, but we said Novus, can he potentially catch up and get a couple of points? He's only 4 seconds off those 2, so there's potential there for him as well. And obviously Rainbow at the back, P13, Magic Ram P14. I would like just to say Rainbow's definitely... Looks like he's enjoying this game better. There's been no safety cars, and obviously, you know, he's done quite well today. So fair play to him. As we now on to lap 27, is 4.7 seconds. Yeah, I think this is going to be very, very close come lap 29.
At it well. We'll look towards Locker and Oz. We see him in towards the final corner. Locker knows he doesn't have to make this overtake, and he will take 9th. As for Radical, he's just happy to sit behind Panic End in a fight for 5th. And both of the Williams 3rd and 4th, I think they'll complain, for the start of the evening. Started on pole and in 5th. Double points, I'll say double podium if anything goes wrong. God forbid. Just casually throw the Devil's Kiss on Sheriff Woody and or Reese. We get a 1-2 for the Williams. Don't think they'll complain. But David, it's been a while since he's been on the podium for whatever team he was with. And the last podium I remember for David, back in season 5, which is quite some time ago for David Lawface, so welcome back for him, along with his teammate Button. Good effort for them. Rob Sue recovering to retake 8th, a pretty lonely 8th place actually, for the Aston, but points are points, and there is the gap between Sheriff Woody and Reese. That gap was 6 seconds just 2 laps ago. That gap now starting lap 28 is going to be 2.9 seconds. I don't know if Reese has got to have the lap of his life here if he wants to get DRS. I think Woody has got just enough in hand to hold on. Fair play though to Reese. He has made this 2-stop strategy go as far as it can. And respect to him, he has made this work as best as he can.
Oh, and Locker's got a 3-second penalty. Was saying that, you know, he was looking to try and let's have a look at the penalties as we for now. They're trying to get past Wizard of Oz. He didn't need to overtake him, but now he will have to overtake him for that position. But having said that, Novus can potentially take them both. So Locker's going to be wanting to try and get this position now to try and at least get a point on the board. Radical will obviously take P5 off Panic N with that 10 seconds that he's got. But more importantly, we're going to go back obviously to the front. The gap is 2.4 seconds. And I do think now at this stage of this penultimate lap, I think the tyres have just given out for Reese. I don't think he's going to gain another 2.5 seconds in one lap at this stage of that soft tyres life. I think Sheriff Woody just needs to keep his cool here and keep it on the track, and that will be it for him. And I just saw Reese go off track there. I don't know if that would have been a track limits warning, but he hasn't got a 3-second penalty. I do think, Cruiser, this is going to be Sheriff Woody's win. Like I said, 2.5 seconds is the gap coming into the last lap. I think he's got nothing to worry about as much. It's just as long as he keeps it on track.
That he does. He's got to do it for one more lap as we're on the final lap in Bahrain. A season opener which has thrown up a lot of tactical fights amongst the pack. Let's see Novus there right behind Locker in that fight for what is currently 10th place. But Locker getting that 3-second penalty, it might ruin his chance of points. As I'm actually looking at the Williams duo, going to start having a little bit of a fight. This is going to be a friendly fight here to the line for the Williams drivers. David is going to take third if Button is nice enough. I say is nice enough. Oh, as Reese has gone wide in the background. That's all but confirmed it now. That is it for the McLaren driver. A 2-stop strategy almost working, but almost doesn't work. It counts in, what is it saying? It counts in horseshoes and hand grenades for the McLaren. But I think Sheriff Woody, he knows a few things about horseshoes. Absolutely no correlation there. But still, he's got one more sector left. And it's going to be his own story he's going to be writing. And his first chapter is going to be the perfect start to his saga in FPRL. He's got one more corner left. And we're going to have a brand new winner in FPRL. As it's going to be Sheriff Woody to take the checkered flag. The lights lit up at the start of the race. The fireworks that light up the sky to end the race. And crown a brand new winner. The Haas of Sheriff Woody wins in Bahrain. Reese, respect for the 2-stop strategy. Just not enough for the McLaren driver. But second place is his. And David Lawface, welcome back to the podium. Third place for him. Button will take fourth. Panic End will cross the line in fifth, but will drop to seventh after a pit lane speed penalty. Radical will take fifth, making the alternate strategy work very nicely for the Red Bull driver. The Flow, having a late spin 2-stop strategy, was forced upon him to take sixth. Panic End, as I said, would take seventh. Rob Sue, a quiet race, will take eighth. And it's going to be Novus to get points on their debut in ninth. Oz will take 10th. Locker, a disappointing race for him, will take 11th. Tattoo Star, Rainbow and Magic Ram will round out the field. And what was a thoroughly enjoyable race, it must be said. Tactics aplenty, and I think the winning hand here was the one-stop strategy and the winner driver in Sheriff Woody.
Yeah, no, fair play to Sheriff Woody. He did what he needed to do. He kept it on the track. He knew that obviously Reese was catching him up at tremendous pace, but he just knew that he just had to keep it on the track. And that's what he did. And Reese just didn't have the tyres at the end there. And I think Magic Ram just actually run out of fuel coming across the line. He'll come across in P14. But yeah, that whole 29-lap race, only 2 retirements, so it's been a very clean race. Not a single safety car. We had a virtual on the first lap. I say not a clean race. Aviation JSY might not be thinking that, obviously, for his lap 1 DNF with his incident with Novus. But all around, it has to be said, it's been a very, very good start to this Season 8 campaign in FPRL and Tier 3. And like you say, Cruiser, Sheriff Woody on that top step, Reese second, and David Lawface in third position. Will get them all, hopefully, into the party for some post-race interviews right now.
Did a big congratulations to Sheriff Woody on a very mature drive. Started in 8th, avoided all the chaos, and made the one-stop strategy work tonight. Quite a few bits of homework and notes we could all take from that race, particularly Reese's battery deployment methods. I'll definitely say that. David Lawface and Button, third and fourth for the Williams team. Could have been a better night for Button, to be fair, if he didn't get tagged by Oz. But I think fourth place for Button. At his points, he will take that kindly. Radical in fifth. Started 12th, finished in fifth. Take that. Rob Sue started 15th and will take 8th. Not a shabby effort for the pair of them. Novus recovering what is a dismal night for the Sauber team to take a handful of points. And Oz taking some points on their debut as well in 10th. As we said, the two casualties in the race, JSY and Ethan Hilda, retiring from the race. And thank you, Tier 3. A bit of a chess race, but we'll see you next time out in Australia. But before we do, we're going to see if we can get the podium drivers in for a quick chat. Sheriff Woody, Reese, and David Lawface. As it says, I need to rejoin the party. I've been disconnected from my own party. Are you... Okay. Right. Apologies for this. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I've been disconnected from my own party. That's lovely. We'll head to the Williams, though. And we'll see if we can get David Lawface. Or at least see if I can get a quick word from David Lawface. I will need to request an invite, though, please, gentlemen. If you don't mind. I just said if you don't mind. Anyway, I suppose it gives us time to think about driver of the day for Mr. Monkey Boy Kurt. And thank you, David. I can now rejoin my own party that I was apparently disconnected from. Anyway, let's head back. Hopefully. As... oh, I think we're having problems. That's far from ideal, isn't it? Rest assured, I will find a way to get a word with David Lawface. Apparently I am in the party, but I'm not. Steele, you had this problem, how do I fix it? Oh dear. I've had a message from Monkey Boy Kurt as well, saying to leave the current party, and I have left the party. And oh my goodness, I've left the party on my end, and it says to me, right, so make a new party, right, we're learning here. We are learning, and it says I'm still in the current party with Monkey Boy Kurt. Oh. We will get a word with our podium drivers. I can only apologise, but yeah, it seems as though my console's had a complete meltdown right now. Oh my goodness. Well, that's great. That's absolutely golden. A good race ruined by something that's out of our control. And I want to see if this works. No, I cannot invite anyone. Yeah, the console is completely trashed. Right. Well, this is far from ideal, ladies and gentlemen, but my console has completely shut down. It's frozen, and I cannot invite or join any other parties. So it's going to be a bit of a sour note to end off. Yeah, I don't really see what else I can do. Like, yeah. Right, yeah, but I cannot accept invites to parties. It's, like, the home menu's completely frozen. Hopefully that's it now. It's restored itself. And one more invite, please. Oh, no, wait. Join party from David Lawface. See if this works. Ah. There we go. Finally it's worked.
Lolly to the rescue.
Thank you. Yep, David Lawface to the rescue. very much to the rescue. I can see you weren't missing out on this interview either, David. And I suppose, if you can all include your audio in the party, now it's been fixed. We'll start off with David. So first off, David, welcome back to the podium.
Hello, it's been a while. I'm feeling a bit dizzy up this high, to be honest. But thank you.
And yeah, just seeing as well from qualifying, you had a little dig at Button calling him the number two driver. Friendly banter there, I would assume.
Oh, of
But going
course.
into the race, yeah, of course. But going into the race, started fifth and came on for a podium. You can't be too upset with that. But did you consider doing the two stop like everyone else?
So from practice, I knew that doing the one stop would be tight, but I kind of knew it unless you could really like make your tyres go well, a bit like Panic End did. He took his mediums really far and then put on another set of mediums. Don't know why. Anyway, yeah, it was tricky to do the one stop, but I was always committed to with a non-safety car race. Yeah.
And moving on to next week around Australia, if I'm correct, it is Australia. Hopefully it is. Um, a track that you enjoy, at least before the handling model changes.
I mean, it's not my favourite track, but it's not got a turn quite like turn 2 here in Bahrain. I don't think. Even the last corner's not that bad, so yeah, it should be a good race. Here's hoping that I can get both Williams up on the podium next week.
Well, that indeed is the ambition, as we seem to have lost Sheriff Woody. It's not far from ideal. Microsoft, fix your Xbox parties, please. But I'll pass over to Monkey Boy Kurt. We'll try to get Sheriff Woody back. But in the meantime, Monkey Boy Kurt, our P2 driver, and the two stopping Reese.
Hello.
Thank you, Cruiser. So, yes, obviously, well done, David, as well from me. Always good to see you back on the podium, so congratulations, mate. But yes, we'll move on to P2 man, which is also P2 man in qualifying as well. We're going to start off with qualifying, Reese, if we can. Obviously, into the 28. It's one of the only drivers that got into the 1 minute 28. I think one of 3 drivers. Just pipped at the end by Button, by literally around about 50,000, I think it was. Was there any more in that lap that you could have potentially got out of and got that pole position today?
Yeah, kind of. Out of my first sector, I kind of got loose there and kind of almost spun it, snapped the car almost around. But the rest of the lap was pretty good from my end. Settled in and kind of just locked in and got the lap done.
Obviously, P2 on your first competitive race in the league, obviously always a good thing. And then obviously into the race, started yourself and Button sort of battling at the front for the first 3 or 4 laps, and you managed to make that overtake and then started to gain a bit of a gap on the drivers behind you. But then we saw after around about, well, it was around about 15 laps that obviously you were going for the 2-stop strategy. So were you always going to go for that? Did you think that potentially I'm going to do the 1-stop and try to go from hard to end, or was it always in your mind from start to next race that the 2-stop was going to be the strategy for you?
I kind of tried going a 1-stop, but I saw that Button was gonna try to undercut me, so I kind of just decided to go with the next lap from him and see how it was out. And I decided to go on mediums to try to go on for the long run and see if I can get into a 2-stop from there. Then from that, I saw that Sheriff was decided to catch up to me, and I was like, oh, I have to pit now because there was no other point from there. So I pitted on the softs, and it wasn't enough time for me to get up there and pass Sheriff for the win.
Yeah, the last part I was going to come on to, obviously, pitted onto softs at the end. Me and Cruiser were in the commentary box saying to ourselves, when does Reese pit? Because you were losing a bit of time to Sheriff Woody. Obviously, it was at 9 seconds and it was dropping. And I guess the kind of decision you had to make was, do you come in earlier and obviously be closer to him as you come out of the pits? or do you pit later and have more performance in those tyres at the end? And we could see, obviously, 2 seconds a lap was being gained from yourself, but is there any indication of what the tyre dig was on the tyres at the end on those softs? Because, obviously the tyre life for the softs isn't that great in terms of laps, so I'm guessing it was pretty high up towards lap 28, lap 29.
Um, like you were saying, I was getting on him at least 2 seconds a lap. It was going slowly and slower down to the last point where I couldn't even gain on him. It was around high 30s by the end. The last time I saw my back left was around 41%. So I was kind of icky about it at the end.
Well, I think maybe another couple of laps potentially you could have had a go maybe at Sheriff Woody, but nevertheless, it's a great first race for you in this league in terms of competitive race. P2 definitely not something to be frowned upon, so well done for tonight. Obviously, I'm going to now hand back to Cruiser, who's going to interview our race winner today and who also takes his first win in FPRL.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Monkey. Congratulations, Reese. She said just not enough time to make the two-stop work, but the man that was there to capitalise. Congratulations, Sheriff Woody.
You will, mate, yes.
Yes, you will need to include your audio.
Yeah, thank you. That's sorted now.
Yeah, there we go. But your pre-season was pretty strong. Had a few minor blips in the pre-season, but going into tonight, started in 8th, a little bit out of position from the pre-season, but that midfield battle at the front, I'm guessing that forced you more towards a one-stop.
I just tried to make the mediums last as long as I could. My teammate got past me, and I thought he was going to pit a bit earlier than he did, so it just forced me to go longer on the mediums. And then from then, the hards just seemed to last forever, so it just made me risk the one stop really, and it ended up working.
And I'm not willing to bet money here, but I'm fairly sure when Reese made that second pit stop, you did have one eye behind you there looking out for that McLaren, like, where is he?
Yeah, I was
But
just
ultimately
watching
the gap was... Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I was just watching the gap come down when he pitted, to be fair.
You can put the jaw steam over that, just gradually getting closer.
Yeah.
But still, you kept your focus. You didn't lose your focus. And as we head to the next time out in Australia, back to back maybe.
Maybe. I didn't think I'd win, so I'll see how Australia goes really.
That we will, and we'll all find out how Australia goes in a week's time for Tier 1. A week's time for everyone. I'm so used to commentating. Jesus Christ. Bleh. But Tier 3, that is our race finished for the evening, and that is our live stream done. Our opening round in Season 8 is in the books. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in and for watching on the FPRL Twitch channel, twitch.tv/FP Racing League. If you guys want to hit that follow button and support the stream, it'll help us immensely. We're on the road to 750 followers before that. After that, 4 digits and beyond the big 1,000. We have social media as well on X, formerly Twitter, at FairPlayRL, Instagram, and our YouTube channel, where our races will be ported from the Twitch to the YouTube channel, where they are there to watch and relive for tonight. And I think tonight Tier 3's proven they like to play a few mind games with each other. But we'll see who comes out on top in Australia in a week's time. But before we do end the stream, Monkey Boy Kurt, our very first driver of the day, who gets your vote?
Well, I wish I could pick 3 drivers of the day, to be honest, Cruiser, because there's definitely 3 drivers I'd like to give it to tonight. 2 of them are in this party on the podium. One of them is definitely P5 man today, Radical, making the alternative strategy work and obviously rose up to P5, so well done to him. I think, though, it has to go to the race winner today for holding on to that victory and keeping his cool when he obviously had a very quick McLaren coming up behind him at the end. So Sheriff Woody, not just got your first FPRL win, you've also got driver of the day today for that opening round. So well done to Sheriff Woody.
Big up, Sheriff Woody.
Thank you very much.
And that is going to be it. Be sure to tune into the FPRL Twitch channel, twitch.tv/FP Racing League, this Wednesday where myself and Monkey Boy Chart will take to the track in Tier 2 before Friday night, the big showpiece, our Tier 1 opening night with Mr. David Lawface and Silverside Boy as your commentary team. And for this commentary team, that has been Monkey Boy Chart.
Thank you very much.
And this has been Cruiser 1872. Thank you all very much for watching, and it's been a while since I've had to say this. From all of us here at FPRL, good night.